Hello there, today I'm going to be doing a bit of a spoiler review on Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson, Book 4 in the Stormlight Archive. Warning, if you have not yet read Rhythm of War, please be warned, spoilers. Without further ado, let's get on with the video. I'm going to begin by talking about the characters, starting with Adolin Colin. Now, I've always loved Adolin, but this book made me love Adolin even more. Part of it is Maya, and part of it is Dalinar. Now, the thing about Maya is that she really shows how much good that you can do just by trying to be nice to other people. All Adolin really did was respect her and treat her like a person rather than a thing. And yes, he did that even when she was a sword, because he respects things. He just respects things and people no matter what. But him putting in effort and him caring, it was enough to completely, so far, begin to revive her. And that just shows how much impact a person can have on anything just by trying to be nice. And that's a big important thing. But also, Dalinar. Now, Dalinar has clearly had a huge impact on Adolin, even though Dalinar wasn't around that much when Adolin was a kid. Adolin really respected his father growing up, and now he's kind of struggling because he knows what's happened to his mother, and he still wants to respect his father, but he's struggling because he loved his mother too, because his mother was amazing. And seeing him sort of struggle with that, and he's sort of kind of shifting away from trying to be his father's perfect son. I mean, he already thinks he's messed up. He thinks he's worse than his father in a lot of ways, and that's not really true, at least not in my opinion, but I still think it's interesting how he both tries to be the perfect son, and at this point it's kind of like, okay, I'm not going to be your perfect son. I'm still going to try, but I'm not. And him sort of accepting himself for who he is I think is really important. But I think the contrast between Dalinar, who cares so much about results, and Adolin, who just cares to try to just because he thinks it's right, it's very interesting. Moving on to Navani. I really like Navani in this book, especially more than other books. I think we definitely see a lot more of her. She takes a bigger role in things. But the biggest thing I want to touch on is her relationship with Gavilar. Now, he's dead. He's been dead for years, but how much he has impacted her just mentally and how she thinks of herself is remarkable. And it really showcases how mental scars too, can just stay after years, and sometimes it doesn't seem like she even notices how much, or at all, how much of an impact he's had on her. But I think it's profound in a lot of ways. The only other character I really wanted to touch on was Taravangian, and just mainly to just say how dishonest he is with himself. Especially we can see that once he becomes Zodium, because Taravangian always thought he was noble, he was in the right, he was doing the best he could. But he's been proven wrong time and time again. He doesn't understand either Dalinar's or Adolin's point of view of what is right. He doesn't understand trying hard to do the right thing just because it's the right thing to do. And he doesn't understand trying hard to get the right results. He doesn't care about ultimately good. He cares about plausible good. And he doesn't even care about that when he descends to Odium. He cares only about himself and I don't even know, his legacy, his doing good thousands of years later. He doesn't care about people or individuals or humanity, really. He just cares about winning. And that is who Taravangian is. That's how he's always been. It's just he's deluded himself, and he's deluded the audience a little bit. And he's definitely deluded other characters. So those are the main ones I wanted to touch on. The ones done well, I think. And then the last one I just wanted to talk a little bit about is Moash. It's not enough that I just hate Moash. I think he's become almost comical at this point. His dialogue, his interactions. I just think it's not done as well as it could have been. It's not just that he's a bad guy. It's that his transition to bad guy feels not exactly poorly done, but it definitely could have been done better, in my opinion. So because of Moash, and the other big thing I have a problem with the characters is dialogue is hit or miss, and the inner thoughts are hit or miss. There are some characters who have really good inner monologues, and there are characters who feel all the same, and or feel too absurdly different. So I'm gonna give characters an 8.5 because of my couple of issues, but overall I think most of the characters are done really well. I just wanted to touch on some of the interesting things that I was thinking about after reading this book, well, rereading it. So let's move on. For the plot / pacing, I'm going to give it 8.5 out of 10 because I think some parts were done really well, and I think some parts slogged a little bit. Not too much, but a little bit, mainly Kaladin and Navani's parts a little bit, and Dalinar's kind of blended together a little bit and felt a little unimportant. Same with Shallon's at times. But ultimately, this had some amazing moments. First of all, Kaladin speaking the fourth ideal. Need I say more? Of course I will. I think this was such a big moment. It's been prefaced for a long time, and he couldn't do it in Oathbringer, but he can do it now. And I think it was incredible seeing him do that. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about Adolin in Shadesmar being awesome, and Maya's moment. Because, yeah, I think it says a lot about the Spren. The We Choose moment was great, not only because she was saving Adolin, but because she was sort of telling us more about the choices. She's not just telling us the Spren chose with the knights to do the right thing. She's saying there is more to this story. You can't take what you want. You can't just use us to as an excuse. And it was really incredible. That's most of what I wanted to talk about with the plot spacing. I think 8.5 still incredible. Yeah, it's dragging a little bit, but really good. Moving on to the world building. I don't want to talk too much about the world building because I don't think there's much to say in that it is perfect. As close to perfect as there is, I think. Sanderson's world building, I'm not going to take points away because his info dumping a little bit, or because he doesn't always say it in the most glamorous ways or present it in the ways it wants to be presented or it ought to be presented in. I'm gonna take those points away from writing, but I think his world building is genius. I think he is a genius with worlds. He does really, really cool things with the worlds and combines it with a plot and just makes cool things happen. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm so impressed. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the world for Sanderson. 10 out of 10 every time. Not every time, almost every time. Is there anything I would change? I couldn't do half as good a job as he has done. So no, I couldn't do anything close to this. Lastly, I'm going to touch on the writing. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10, which is a little bit above average because I do think Sanderson at times has pretty good prose, but he's just so inconsistent. I think sometimes he'll do a great job with one chapter or a paragraph or however long, and then sometimes the dialogue will make me mad, make me upset. He will do such a good job sometimes, not incredible, maybe like 8 out of 10 work, but he'll do such a good job, and then he'll say, not just modern is the problem. I think the juxtaposition of the modern with the fantastical setting and some of the other word choices he uses. And it just doesn't make sense, and it makes me sad because he's doing a great job in other things. Overall, that comes out to an 8.25. I love this book. I liked it better than... As far as enjoyment, this has some of my favorite moments, some of my favorite plot lines. This might be my favorite of the 4. I think it is my favorite of the 4. But at the same time, it has some issues. But I still love it, and that's what matters most. If you can't tell, I'm in my Stormlight hoodie. I love Stormlight. It's great. Next up, Wind and Truth review. Anyway, thank you for watching, and farewell.